So in South Africa right now, you can hunt. You cannot hunt elephants, leopards, or black rhinos and get them exported out of South Africa. For those three CITES animals, you need export quota. And the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, DFFE, I'm going to use DFFE a lot, is the government agency that issues quota. Well, there has been no quota issued for elephant, leopard, and black rhino since 2021. Well, what happened in 2021? 2021, the quota was issued. There was a quota for elephants, leopard, and black rhino. Well, the government, DFFE, got taken to court by Humane Society International. They got taken to court, if I remember correctly, for not following protocols, not having a large enough comment period, yada yada, all the stuff that you typically would put in place to stymie something that you're not in favor of. Okay, obviously, quota for charismatic megafauna like elephants, leopards, and black rhino, a Humane Society is not in favor of. And so the courts had to make a decision whether or not DFFE had followed the right protocols. Well, it drug out. Well, this was for quota for 2021. Well, the court case drug out into 2022, and I believe in 2023, the judge looked at it and goes, I'm throwing this case out because this is a case for determining whether the quota in 2021 was appropriate. It's 2023. Out it went. So, since 2021, nobody has been able to hunt elephants, rhino, and leopard and export any of them. You can't hunt black rhino, you can't hunt leopard at all in South Africa. Only local South African hunters can hunt an elephant, and only up until the last 6 months, Limpopo and Mpumalanga have allowed international hunters to come hunt elephants. So what's the big deal about not having a quota? Well, we thought we were going to get a quota. So fast forward to October 2024, DFFE puts a quota on the street for 2024 and 2025, anticipating the whole court stymieing scenario again. And they went through the public comment period. They went through a period of time in which they had to evaluate all the public comments, and we expected a quota to be released in early 2025. Well, here we sit, September 2025, and there has been no quota issued. And now the minister, Dion George, has just released a statement that because WRSA has taken them to court for non-issuance of quota, that he's not going to issue a quota until the court case has figured itself out. So now we're back in the scenario we were in 2021, in which that a court case has now stymied the issuance of a quota. Why is this quota so important? I think that's a really good question to answer. Why is this quota important for elephants, leopards, and black rhino? And simply it comes down to adding value to those species. If you do not add value to those species, for instance, elephants, why would people want to keep elephants on their property beyond the ecotourism, photographic tourism element of it? Currently in South Africa, you cannot give an elephant away for free. You can't. There's nobody wanting elephants. Everybody's actually looking to get rid of elephants. And so if there was a mechanism by which you could manage elephants, that you could reduce their population, that you could create an extra value, why would you not do it? That's where the quota comes in. The South African hunters for elephants are paying probably a quarter of the price. That's why a quota system is so important. The quota system gives value to animals. So let's finish the elephant argument. Is there enough science, is there enough data to show that there's a sustainable number of elephants to allow a quota to be created? Yes. South Africa has more elephants today than it has ever had. We're at like 44,000 elephants. Plenty of elephants to issue a quota on, and lots of them in private hands. Leopards. Do we have science on leopards? Actually, we don't have great science on leopards. Safari Club International Foundation is doing a survey on leopards in South Africa to give us some data, but there's also a lot of anecdotal evidence to say that are there lots of leopards present? Yes. Are there leopards present in areas that they've never seen leopards before in the past? Yes. Are there trail camera pictures on small acreages that have identified multiple leopards showing how dense of a population there is? The answer is yes. And so instead of just letting leopards be a byproduct from a depredation perspective on sheep, on cattle, whatever they are, why not put a value on those leopards? Currently, farmers do not see leopards as a valuable product. They see them as a nuisance. Why not put a value on leopards? Reduce the number of illegal takes associated with leopards and depredation and increase the value of leopards by issuing a quota. Then black rhinos. We have plenty of data to show that black rhinos are doing very well in private hands. They're only doing very well because of the money being invested in the security of those rhinos. By giving them value, $300,000 value, you can aid in rhino conservation moving forward. It's a very simple concept. Issue quota, add value to wildlife. Issue no quota, and that wildlife has no value any longer. You have phenomenal private operators, private landowners. You have private landowners, private operators and outfitters that hunt areas that have elephant, that have rhino. They're desperate for help. If you gave them help through a quota, they would be looking after your wildlife even more. Isn't that what you want? A quota is going to add value to the wildlife of South Africa. A quota is going to enhance the economic GDP of South Africa from approximately 4 million rand a year right now to, I think, based on my calculations, about 20 billion rand. So 5-fold. That money will go back into infrastructure, community investments, habitat restoration, wildlife conservation, security and risk management of species like rhinos to improve their conservation. How is that a bad thing? If the HSIs of the world are whispering in your ear, Minister, that you shouldn't issue a quota, have you asked the very simple question, why? Why should you issue a quota of 0? Is it because elephants are doing badly from a population perspective? No. Is it because there are too few leopards in the landscape of South Africa? The answer is no. Is it because southern black rhino are doing terribly because of hunting? The answer is no. None of these species would be detrimentally affected if you issued a quota. In fact, the opposite would happen. Elephants, leopards, and black rhino would be significantly more valued if you issued a quota. It's as simple as that. One thing you've got to remember, the South African system is a private wildlife, private land model of a wildlife conservation system. i.e., if you have a certificate of adequate enclosure, the animals within that enclosure, within that fence belong to you. And so how do you put value on those animals that somebody privately owns? You have somebody interested in valuing that animal. I value it to photograph it. I value it to eat it. I value it to hunt it. Those are values for wildlife. I value it because it'll breed and create more wildlife that I can then sell. That is why a quota is so important. A quota is important for the private landowner to see more value in these specific species, all of which have risk and liability associated with holding them on your property. Elephant from a destruction perspective, human-wildlife conflict perspective. Leopard from a depredation perspective. Rhino from a poaching, risk, security, liability perspective.